Hello everyone, welcome to the channel, A Spiritual User Manual for Life. This channel is dedicated to reading, unpacking, and analyzing the text section of the book A Course in Miracles. The objective is to extract valuable practical knowledge to help us live more fulfilling lives while also learning this school's curriculum. The sparkly version of the book is used. Knowledge is also drawn from the Seth books of Jane Roberts. To distinguish between the text and my commentary, the word text will precede the text. The word comments will precede the commentary. Note, as per the course, the voice of the text is that of Jesus. This video is for the section in Chapter 2, Healing as Release from Fear. It is Part B, the second of the section. It continues the focus on the mind as the source of the body's creation, the ideal way for resolving problems in the body, and temporary workarounds. Here's a recap of Part A. The body is an aid meant to help us function and learn while here in this earth school. An important attribute of the mind is its ability to project, manifest its contents into physical reality. If there are problems with this content that produces fear, it leads to miscreations which affect the body. These we identify as illness. Through acceptance of the atonement plan, we resolve these problems, which heals our minds and bodies. However, many of us are in such compromised states. We are not ready or able to go this route. In such situations, using external aids, such as those of modern medicine and science, are recommended. Let's begin. Healing as Release from Fear, Part B. Text. The value of the atonement does not lie in the manner in which it is expressed. In fact, if it is truly used, it will inevitably be expressed in whatever way is most helpful to the receiver. This means that a miracle to attain its full efficacy must be expressed in a language which the recipient can understand without fear. It does not follow by any means that this is the highest level of communication of which he is capable. It does mean, however, that it is the highest level of communication of which he is capable now. The whole aim of the miracle lies to raise the level of communication, not to impose regression in the improper sense upon it. Comments. We are all here to learn. We are not all progressing at the same pace. Some of us are more advanced than others. Some of us learn at a faster rate than others, but we are all here to learn. One of the benefits of learning is the opportunity to teach others what we've learned, for it reinforces what we know, while sharing the knowledge with others. A win-win situation. However, we cannot teach what we do not know, so we must teach ourselves first. When we're ready to teach others, it is important to remember what it took and for how long for us to learn. We must grant others the same time and space or more. Text. Before miracle workers are ready to undertake their function in this world, it is essential that they fully understand the fear of release. Otherwise, they may unwittingly foster the belief that release is imprisonment, a belief that is very prevalent. This misperception arose from the underlying misbelief that harm can be limited to the body. This was because of the much greater fear that the mind can hurt itself. Neither error is really meaningful because the miscreations of the mind do not really exist. This recognition is a far better protective device than any form of level confusion because it introduces correction at the level of the error. Comments. This is a problem I've encountered on several occasions. Some individuals are in such compromised states. They believe the ideas found in A Course in Miracles, and from others, are demonic in nature and can lead to spiritual entrapment, even a guarantee of hell after death. They outright reject any ideas of this kind. The only recourse is to back off and wish them peace. For the objective is to reduce fear, not increase it. Be confident knowing that at some time in the future, when they are ready, they will grow beyond these limiting beliefs. Text. It is essential to remember that only the mind can create. Implicit in this is the corollary that correction belongs at the thought level. To repeat an earlier statement and to extend it somewhat, the soul is already perfect and therefore does not require correction. The body does not really exist except as a learning device for the mind. This learning device is not subject to errors of its own, because it was created, but is not creating. It should be obvious then that correcting the creator or inducing it to give up its miscreations is the only application of creative ability which is truly meaningful. Comments. The various experiences we have in our everyday lives come from within us, specifically the thoughts, beliefs, emotions, desires, and will that we hold in our minds. Where there are misunderstanding, distortions, ignorance of the spiritual laws that govern the mind, they lead to miscreations which show up as fear, illness, and more. As the source of these problems is the contents of the mind, the correction should be directed there. To do otherwise is to misdiagnose the problem and further complicate the situation. Unfortunately, this knowledge is not widely known, understood, or accepted. For many, it produces even more fear and is outright rejected. At some point, we will all accept this basic truth. The sooner the better. In the meantime, we stick with what we know and are comfortable with. Text. Magic is essentially mindless, or the miscreative use of the mind. Physical medications are forms of spells. Those who are afraid to use the mind to heal should not attempt to do so. The very fact that they are afraid has made them vulnerable to miscreation. They are therefore likely to misunderstand any healing they might induce. And because egocentricity and fear usually occur together, may be unable to accept the real source of the healing. Under these conditions, it is safer for them to rely temporarily on physical healing devices because they cannot misperceive them as their own creations. As long as their sense of vulnerability persists, they should be preserved from even attempting miracles. Comments. The mind is the source of creation, including miscreations. Correction of miscreations should be done in the mind. This leads to true healing of both mind and body. Many, because of numerous fears and prevailing beliefs, resort to other means for healing. Modern medicine, science, herbs, energy healing are some of the more preferred. They provide relief and healing at times. This fosters the belief in them as sources of healing. However, their results are not consistent. An illness might seem to be cured only to have a relapse or be replaced by another. For some, managing the symptoms is all that is done, with many having a daily dose of prescription drugs. Sometimes whole organs are removed. Seth states that unless the problem is solved at its source, the mind, the physical symptoms will continue to show up. Medications, surgeries, organ removal, etc., will only cause the symptoms to show up in other areas of the body. For that is how the body tells us there's a problem with our mental contents. Getting to that enlightened awareness will take time and effort. Until then, we rely on what we know and are comfortable with. Modern medicine, science, herbs, energy healing, therapy, and others. Text. We have already said that the miracle is an expression of miracle-mindedness. Miracle-mindedness merely means right-mindedness, in the sense that we are now using it. The right-minded neither exalt nor depreciate the mind of the miracle worker or the miracle receiver. However, as a creative act, the miracle need not await the right-mindedness of the receiver. In fact, its purpose is to restore him to his right mind. It is essential, however, that the miracle worker be in his right mind, or he will be unable to re-establish right-mindedness in someone else. Comments. As the Course states, the mind is the only source of all creations. An important part of this school's curriculum is learning how to use it. Naturally, with a tool this powerful, it takes a considerable amount of learning just to master the basics. There are numerous learning aids, teachers, and instruction manuals to help us. With the numerous media and opinions available to us, it can be very challenging to identify them. Because of this dilemma, we experience all sorts of chaos and confusion. Miracles, acts of love that include compassion, understanding, and mercy, go a long way towards guiding us out of it. The beauty of it is that we do not even need to know how or why the process works. We just need to keep finding ways to help each other. Eventually, the understanding will catch up to us. we continue on this path of self-discovery. Some of the ideas presented are new and radically different to what we are familiar with. They take us out of our comfort zone. This is to be expected. Are they valid, verifiable, reliable? From my experiences, they are. However, each of us must come to that realization in our own time and space. Thanks again for joining me on this journey. If you've gotten any value from this video, please like, share, and subscribe. The next video will be Healing as Release from Fear, Part C.